Hey, I'm down here in front of City Hall and looking at the street here. This is King Street, coming down the hill. We're on the lower end of King Street. And what we find here in the street is some of the infrastructure, we say. There's a manhole cover, right? And the manhole says DPW on it. You can see that. For the Department of Public Works. Upside down there, and we're here lower end of King Street, and there's only one manhole type on this street, right? And it is a sanitary sewer manhole. That's because here we have combined sewers, right? So what flows into these sewers is all the stuff from your toilets and your sinks and your houses, but also what comes from catch basins. So rainfall goes into this. So I see rainfall going into a catch basin here at the corner to take the runoff that runs down the street when it rains. And that goes in that same sewer. I'm here at the Alexandria waterfront, and I'm looking up Pendleton Street, coming out of town here. And you see I'm kind of at the bottom of the hill here, right by the waterfront. And at this location, the storm drains drain down, and the sanitary sewers take all the catch basins in the old part of town down to the water. And then once they arrive here at the water, they sometimes discharge into the river. These are combined sewers, a kind of old system that was developed back in 19th century to drain sanitary sewage and only treat portions of it that occur during dry weather. Okay, so in wet weather, there's so much water that comes into catch basins that it's really hard to treat that. Many municipalities just didn't develop the way to treat that, so they discharge extra wastewater. So we've got a combined sewer overflow here, and what that looks like is a little concrete bunker down there at the bottom of the hill that has giant hinges on it. You can see that too well here, but there's some hinges on a concrete box, and then there's a door that'll open up and flow out sewage when it rains. So if it rains more than a quarter to half an inch all at once in a thunderstorm, the wastewater treatment plant doesn't treat that, and it goes out into the river, which makes it kind of a hazard here, so hence the warning signs. In dry weather, we can treat all the wastewater here in Alexandria, but this system is set for wet weather overflows, what we call combined sewer overflows. And then wastewater comes out. What I mean by wastewater is sewage. This is untreated human wastes. Everything that goes down your sink and toilet will come out into the Potomac during those rainwater events. So here we are down at the Alexandria waterfront. We can see there's a little problem here that the city has described, which is a place where there used to be a coal processing plant that would make coal and natural gas, and it was up here on Orinoco Street, and Orinoco Street runs uptown that way, and then at the end of Orinoco Street there's what we call an outfall, where storm water comes out into the Potomac, and they've got this all blocked off with what we call a harbor boom. And here we have absorbent boom to take oils, and oils come out of this pipe fairly frequently. I can see some little baby fish down there cruising along right here. But what comes out of this pipe is a little bit of coal tar, apparently, from that old plant where they're converting coal to natural gas. Anyway, so I see actually a dead fish over on this side of the boom, lying on the bottom out there. I don't see that. Little white thing. There, I'll zoom in a little bit. As a fish carcass. Anyway, not a very attractive part of town here, and something that they've been working on for years, trying to clean up. They've lined the storm drain and things like this, but it still oozes out a little bit of oily material. Right. That's a little problem spot here in Alexandria. Sources of contamination in town to water. Our streams can get affected by things like dumpsters. And here's the dumpsters behind our good old friends at McDonald's. And they can see some greasy indications of runoff. Even though it's a dry day, it's left some grease behind. It's way down to our catch basin. And there you take street runoff and connect it down to the nearest stream or nearest storm drain that will run down to the stream. We have Occoquan Reservoir. And it looks like a beautiful lake, but you know, you look at the water and it's kind of olive brown. So it's been raining a lot, so there's a lot of suspended clay in the water, but also probably some plankton, some little tiny green single-celled plant-like organisms that keep it green and brown to some degree. What would that do to your water? You might give it a little bad taste. Might also be harder to disinfect the water or remove bacteria when there's lots of other organic matter in the water. So you get some side products of chlorination and stuff when there's lots of algae in the water. So we want to reduce the amount of nutrients getting to the lake. But where do the nutrients come from in these nice green hills? Well, a few houses, and there's also some farm fields upstream that might be impacting this, and what we call a non-point source. So that means washing over the surface of the land for the most part. You can't like say, oh, there's a pipe pouring in of pollutants. Here, we're looking at stuff that's slowly being added to the water from runoff, from water that runs across the surface of the land.